All right, I'm really hoping that I'm in focus here. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. My name is Dalibor, and today we're doing a follow-up video on the LG Wing, specifically the inherent problem with it, and especially when it comes to production and filmmaking. Of course, that's what we focus on here. Coming up here in a second. So this is going to serve as kind of a half overall review and half specifically production related, filmmaking related review. I just want to knock out a few basics. The case, garbage, absolute garbage. There's 2 cases available, and to anybody that's been trying to get a case that has one of these things, just go to the Verizon store. They don't have them in their system, apparently. They had to ring me out for a S20 case for the same price, and then they just literally gave me this out of the box because they couldn't ring it out. It was saying that they couldn't ring it out yet or whatever. It wasn't in their inventory. Some dumbass shenanigans are happening, and you should definitely just go in if you're looking for a case. I know there was a lot of people commenting about how they were not gonna keep the phone because they can't get a case. So there's hopefully one solution for y'all. But in general, the case is not great because of this. I mean, the top screen portion is really, really thin. So like your connection points for this adhesive are not great, and it loosens up. It loosens up. I took it out of my pocket. One of these corners had peeled up already. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of the case, but it's one of those like it takes what you can get. Because I wasn't going to put my TacForm plate on the back of my phone because I'm not stupid, and I definitely needed a case. I was willing to walk out with that stupid glitter case if they didn't have this, but thankfully they were able to get this to me. Second, the fingerprint reader is like not as see. It got it. It's not as accurate as I want it to be, and it's not as fast as I want it to be. I tested it against my Pixel though, my Pixel 2 XL, and it felt like it was about the same, although in experience, it feels much slower. Maybe because it's not like, you know, on the Pixel, it's back here. So like as you're grabbing it, it's unlocking. Whereas with this, then you have to still put your finger, see, and it's like, try again. There, like, it's not as accurate for sure. Not my favorite part of that part of the experience. I'm gonna switch to auto. So we're gonna switch to auto. We're gonna turn off the autofocus. Man, the white balance is way off now. Whatever. I want to be in focus, and I'm not sure that was. We're gonna just continue from here. Now, as far as production, well, let me just touch this real quick. The swivel is a great gimmick, but aside from filming, it is practically useless unless you specifically stick to the LG software. The keyboard trick that they show off only works if you use the LG keyboard. I really just only like the Google keyboard, so I use Gboard. It doesn't work with that. I think there's huge potential if someone, you know, a third-party developer or whatever decides to incorporate this activity, because I think that would be dope to you know, be able to in Gboard switch over and use the keyboard this way. But you can't. If you open Google Photos, nothing, right? There's nothing here on the bottom. However, if you open the LG gallery, if we go into the split view here, you have the gallery, plus when you hit edit, your actual timeline is down here and your video is up here. Now, I wish it did that this way. I wish the timeline was down here because that would give you more fine-grained control. But that's one of those opportunities I was talking about for a third-party developer to make or update one of their video editing apps so that when you flip upside down, you have that nice big timeline at the bottom. All your editing tools will be on the big bottom screen, and then your preview video is in, you know, the bottom second screen. I think that would be fantastic, but on a practical level, it's just not there yet. I think it's close. I think the editing is nice because then you could, you know, in the gallery view, you could edit down and cut down your clips, save them as copies, which is always nice, and then put them in a Rush project or whatever editor you use. But it's, you know, the editing capability is not there. You know, I wish there was more you could do with it, but for now, it is limited. And like I said, the real benefit comes in when you are shooting. And again, you have to use the built-in LG camera app so that you have all the tools at the bottom for your dual recording, that kind of stuff. Like, that's only available through the actual LG camera. It's actually a decent app. It has decent features. Overall, I actually don't mind it. I'm still trying to sort out some of these options. You know, FPV versus pan follow has been pretty straightforward. Follow mode, actually I'm curious, now that I switched to gimbal mode here, did it switch quality? Because that was one of the big things I realized Yeah, so automatically what it's doing in reality, what the camera is doing when you switch to this view is it's recording in 1080, but it's using the entire 4K sensor. So it's using the 4K, and that's where it's getting the stabilization. Effectively, you're just doing live warp stabilizing, and you're taking 4K footage, you're warp stabilizing it, and you're exporting 1080. That's what's happening when you are using this mode, because there is no way to switch to 4K in this recording mode. You have to go this way and you have to choose 4K. So once you set it in the horizontal recording mode, that will stay there. So when you go back to it, it's still in 4K or whatever you selected. But when you go to this split view recording mode, it switches to 1080p automatically to give you all those features such as the software gimbal, where again, you're just recording 4K and then you're able to move around within that frame, which is actually a fine feature because I still think that 1080 is perfectly fine, and if you have a good quality image, which if you're recording 4K and you're just extracting a 1080p image from it, you're gonna have good quality. So I don't really think there's much to be worried about there. I think what I filmed last time was really solid. The potential is there for what it's gonna be and what it can do, but I think it's really just a matter of exploring the intricacies of what the camera app does, how it behaves, and then utilizing it to your best ability. One of the things I do want to mention is that the microphone it uses seems to be the bottom one, because when I was doing the front facing and I was kind of adjusting my angle here, you heard the audio change. It's a decent microphone. I just watched this gem, which is linked down below, and he's got a really fantastic point, because it's all about audio at the end of the day. Even this is a little disappointing because you're going to be hearing the noise, the wind, you're going to be hearing the planes going by, which is why I've had to stop several times to record. So I think we need to normalize people having mics clipped to themselves. I've seen ads and stuff recently on Facebook and on Instagram, kind of like, oh, this is the best lav, for phones and stuff like that. So I think there is a little bit, I don't want to say a revolution, but I definitely think there's innovation happening inside of the lab space for cell phone shooters, and I think there's definitely ways to just have really solid, crisp audio, so then you don't have to worry about if you're covering up the microphone. Now I think with this case, I think it's going to be easier just because I have a better grip here, and I'm not covering up the mic when I'm doing it. So because before, I was really having to, it was scary. I'll be very honest with you guys, it was super scary holding this phone without a case. That's why I fought so hard to find a case for it, and it gives it some girth for sure. It gives it flat sides. I have a much better, even this, I'm super comfortable with this, whereas before I was trying to two-hand the thing at all times because I was afraid of dropping it. As far as playback, it's decent. I'm not a big fan of downward facing speakers. There is, I think, enough space on phones today, especially with something this damn tall, to put front facing speakers without losing anything. The Pixel 2 XL was the best thing because I didn't have to cup my hand to try to get good audio. I could just listen to it because it was facing me. Front facing audio, listener facing audio, is the only way to go in my opinion. I think that this should definitely have dual front facing speakers. There is just plenty of damn space. I don't think anybody would be mad if there was just a tiny chin and a tiny chin and a tiny forehead, but you had great front facing audio. I think everybody would be perfectly happy with it. Just like everybody's happy to have a little bit heavier phone and have better battery life because you have a bigger battery in it. And to that point, the battery in this thing is actually really fantastic. Now, there is kind of, I want to say, a hidden feature, a little secret feature on this camera app, and that is if you go to more, you actually have the option to do Pro Camera, and that gives you white balance, that gives you autofocus control, that gives you exposure value control, ISO control, shutter speed, everything you would want is here. And I love it. Tons and tons of options. I'm kind of blown away by what it has. FHD 30 frames per second, bitrate. God, seriously, this is, I'm a little geeking over this. This is kind of nice. It's even got your audio balance reports. The manual video is fantastic. You have your slow-mo, you have your panorama night view, which I'm very interested to test out. We'll be including that here. You've got a 360 panorama, which is really nice, and AR stickers, which I'm still super not into, so I have no interest. But you have CineShot, which gives you those moving photos, which is kind of nice. It's kind of just built in. It lets you just do it from the camera app, so you don't have to do any kind of third-party thing. So in reality, the camera situation on this thing is fantastic, and really it's the only like real reason I would recommend this phone. It has a ton of really fun things in the camera space. I mean, you have your there's a 12, I think the 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then another, so there's a 12 megapixel ultra wide with the Hexa motion sensors, which is the top one, which actually does a really good job. I think the stabilization is fantastic. There's a 64 megapixel main and a 13 megapixel ultra wide at the bottom. And then the front facing is a 32 megapixel pop-up selfie camera with almost an 80-degree angle of view, which is actually pretty solid, I think. I think as far as how wide it is on the front, pretty good for selfies. What is really exciting though is taking these shots of half as zoom, 0.5 zoom, not 1x, not like regular view, 0.5 zoom, so it's even wider from the main shooters. And right now you can see where my finger is, and it's actually in frame. That's how wide this thing is. Right now it seems like here's how far I am from the camera, but it feels like I'm probably 4 feet away from the camera in this shot. We're gonna take a shot and share it real quick to kind of demonstrate that. It is fantastic. Like I said, as far as filming and shooting goes, I think this is gonna be a fantastic choice. Overall user experience, I got a few things that I was missing on the Pixel. Being able to organize my actual app library, huge. I tend to download a lot of apps, so being able to drop apps into folders inside the app library, huge for me. Before, I was literally just scrolling forever to find the things, or I was having to have a bunch of stuff on home screens, whereas now literally have just like my most used stuff, no other home screens, like just the app drawer, and that's also all on one page because it's all being organized. I love that. I do miss my squeeze for assistant, but at the same time, you got your corner swipes for assistant, and that's good enough. Not that big a deal. It's really just the same as any other Android phone, realistically. I have little qualms that I'm just gonna have to wait till Android 11 is available for this phone. At the end of the day, what this has done is probably just made my life easier as far as vlogging. I have decided this last quarter of the year is gonna be a monthly vlog. I am editing the last quarter vlog today, and this is just gonna make it easier to vlog because everything on the camera end is actually pretty decent. I was complaining about the blown out background last time, but I mean, I'm on the M10, same thing's happening right now. End of the day, I think if you're shopping for a phone in the $1,000 range, this is not gonna be the fastest thing. If you're looking for more of something that's like super powerful, high end, you go into your Samsungs, you go into your Notes, your S20s, that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for a solid phone that's interesting, and I think that's kind of what really drew me to this, because one more slab wasn't really gonna bring much joy to my life, but this is just entertaining at the very least. Like, this is fun to just show off. If you're looking for something interesting in the $1,000 range, definitely the way to go. I actually really like this thing. Going forward, you'll probably see me use this thing for B-roll footage, for time lapses, that kind of stuff. And of course, if you want to check out more kind of regular footage with it, vlog channel is linked down below as always. That's gonna be it for this one. Thank you for watching. Next week, we've got a pretty dope review of an action cam, so make sure you subscribe, like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. It's all engagement. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.